Hello, my fellow employed badasses. We finally got a movie for us. A working man. Jason Statham, David Ayer, Sylvester Stallone. A trio of Hollywood elites that you would think, if they put their heads together, would come up with some amazing action film or something worth watching. Turns out, if they put their three heads together, they make absolute dog shit. Not even the fun type of dog shit that you would probably be thinking about. The type of stuff that for years to come, possibly, will be made fun of or just fully forgotten in the careers that all three of these men have created. And let's be clear, they've made some pretty great things. I mean, David Ayer wrote Training Day. He wrote Training Day. Wrote and directed Fury. Some great movies right there. Sylvester Stallone, I mean, like, he wrote a movie so goddamn great. They put a statue of him in Philadelphia. He's not even a real guy. And they just have his statue there of the fake character that he created in Rocky Balboa. Jason Statham, I mean, he's Jason Statham. He comes in, he does British things, he says everything with a husky voice, and he beats everybody's ass. And he's the top badass that you don't want to fuck with. And he's still that to this day, except for now, his wife has committed suicide. Yes, you heard it here, folks. We have a backstory of a wife committing suicide because he was too busy fighting in the U.S. Marines or the British Marines. He was a Marine. He was too busy fighting. She couldn't handle it, so she killed herself. And you would think, damn, that's a pretty dark backstory. Well, yeah, this movie is surrounded by darkness. A young girl gets kidnapped from her family, leaving her father distraught and about to be sold into sex slavery. And he is an old war veteran dealing with PTSD, and his old war buddy lost his eyes in the war. These are some pretty dark themes. What does this all culminate to? A dark and serious drama, or something that has to deal with all this very weighty elements to the story and character? No, most of it just gets forgotten in the second half, and it just becomes a fun, wacky, Looney Tune-esque action film filled with some of the most over-the-top action and dialogue that is so stupid that you would have thought it got held back in third grade. I don't know why you put all these things in this movie to have it go absolutely nowhere. Now, this movie is based on a book. Maybe in the book, because it's a lot more fleshed out, you can take your time with it. Maybe these characters, these things, and these things going on in the story are more fleshed out, and these characters have a lot more depth to them. He has a daughter. He's fighting for her visitation because her grandfather, his father-in-law, hates her because he feels like he drove his daughter to suicide. So he hates Jason Statham's character and calls him a violent man who everywhere he goes, violence follows. Which, he's not wrong. He's been working at this job, and randomly out of nowhere, a group of thugs attack a man at the job site. No one notices besides the daughter of the guy who runs the job site. I don't know how the nigga who runs the actual job site don't see one of his employees being jumped by a gang of Mexican men, and then the guy who works for him beating the shit out of these Mexican men. I don't know how he's not witnessing this. He doesn't, though. Maybe he set it up and he was like, damn, I didn't know he was that good. I didn't know he was that good of a badass. So we just gonna act like I didn't see that. I didn't see a damn thing because I don't want my ass beat next. Then after that, this girl that he knows, who's the daughter of his friend that he works for at this job site, gets kidnapped, and now he has to go and find out who kidnapped her. So maybe violence does just follow him. There seems to be no pace to anything. Like I was at first, I was like, "Oh, this is urgent. He has to go get her back." But halfway through the movie, this movie's like almost 2 hours long, unnecessarily long, if you ask me. But at some point while you're watching, you like, well, it seems like she's gonna be okay, right? I mean, like she's fighting it herself pretty well. She escaped by herself. Unfortunately, the Russians got police officers and shit like that, but she's doing pretty well. She's talking shit to them. She's biting people. She's fighting people. She's pretty capable, bro. I don't really think you need it here. I mean, like I feel like if you just give her enough time in a window, she can get out of this herself. And when you watch the trailer, you see David Harbour here. David Harbour is here, yes. Hoffer from Stranger Things, you know him. He's here. When you see the trailer, you think he's gonna do something badass. I mean, like it's David Harbour. He's playing a blind Hawkeye, and he's like Hawkeye from Old Man Logan. Like he's about to do something crazy, right? Wrong. He shoots one arrow at him as a warning shot, and then he just sits in his remote cabin off the grid in the middle of nowhere with his wife, who don't say anything either. She just kind of smiles, and he just says, you're gonna go save this girl, aren't you? You don't need my approval." And some of the dialogue here is so funny. When he comes to meet him, he says, "I'm sorry, I couldn't save your eyes," or some shit like that. And it's hilarious. This movie is very funny in a bad way. And this shit happens again towards the end of the movie, because he doesn't befriend, but he works for drug dealers to get in with these Russian people to save this girl. He's a lot of shit. So he has to be a drug dealer for a little bit. Obviously, he doesn't sell the drugs because he's Jason Statham, a working man. A working man don't need to sell drugs when he has a stable income. He somewhat gets close to this black biker gang leader, drug dealer, and he used to be in the army, and towards the end of the movie he like gets him, and he's just like, "Do it, man. I want it to be you. End it." And I'm just like, what the fuck is happening? I don't get this. I guess they created somewhat of a bond together. They both was in the army, so the military, so they maybe brotherhood. Sometimes blood is thicker than water, and they had some pretty thick water between them two, because he's American and the other one's British. On a positive note, Jason Statham is Jason Statham. If you like how Jason Statham acts in movies, there's not a loss in quality there. He stays practically the same of what you would think Jason Statham is. The action scenes are pretty funny when they get into them, but again, there's so much darkness going on in the backstories that when you get to this second half that is completely ridiculous and Looney Tune-ish, when they clash, they create like a mushroom cloud of confusion of how do you feel about the movie that you're watching, because you guys spent so much time in the first half to try to make this seem realistic and relatable, and then y'all spent so much time in the second half to just be like, go with it, brother. Just let whatever happens. Let one guy with a gun, and not even like a machine gun or like an automatic weapon like Arnold Schwarzenegger in Commando, that he just wields like this and press the trigger, and he can just move left and right and slaughter people at a moment's notice. No, he's just got like a regular. He's like a ultra magnum sniper rifle that he just. And he's fighting people with automatic weaponry, semi-automatic weaponry, all types of weapons, and nobody can hit him, and he's not taking cover in any of these action scenes, and you're just sitting there thinking to yourself, this is what we led up to. You did all of this shit, all of this boring, trying to make us connect with these characters shit, just to lead to this stupidity. I shall never believe in you ever again. Do I think you can have fun with it? I mean, sure. Just don't think about a man's wife committing suicide and a man's daughter getting kidnapped and sold into sex slavery. I would rate A Working Man a 4 out of 10. Just because I think 3 out of those is Jason Statham, and then the one is just genuinely the stupid action towards the end. Thank you for watching. If you disagree with me, hey man, subscribe. I say a lot of things here. So maybe we didn't link up on this one. Maybe we didn't see eye to eye here. But that don't mean we never will. So you gotta subscribe to come back to see when will we see eye to eye with each other. Maybe we're both 5'11". Maybe you're 5'2". I can still look down and see eye to eye with you. Or maybe you're 6'5", and I can look up and we can still see eye to eye. You know, as long as our eyes lock, that's all that really matters at the end of the day. And if you do agree with what I have to say, most likely you've been subscribed. So why don't you go on ahead and like? Alright? Because you already like what's going on here. You already agree. You always like, yo, this guy's opinions on movies are pretty cool. And if you're just new here, well, man, why don't you like and subscribe? I mean, you made it all the way to the end, so I'm definitely saying something that you like to hear. You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying something you don't like, so why don't you go ahead and like and subscribe? Do both. Welcome. My name's Kyle, man. Virtual handshakes commence. We just virtually handshaked. This is what Mark Zuckerberg always wanted.